On April 15, 1959, Cuban leader Fidel Castro makes a highly publicized visit to the United States. But why did this communist leader visit the US? And how did the media react to his visit? On January 1, 1959, Fidel Castro's forces overthrew dictator Fulgencio Batista. U.S. officials were deeply concerned about the new Cuban regime's anti-American rhetoric, and Castro stated plans to nationalize foreign properties, including American-owned ones, in Cuba. American media, however, was captivated by the charismatic leader, who had not yet officially declared himself a communist. Castro even appeared on CBS's popular TV variety program, The Ed Sullivan Show, just 10 days after seizing power. 3 months later, Castro visited the U.S. on an invitation from the American Society of Newspaper Editors. Not wishing to legitimize the new left-leaning Cuban regime, U.S. President Dwight Eisenhower made it clear that he would not meet with Castro, purposefully making a trip to Georgia to play golf while the new Cuban leader was in Washington, D.C. However, Vice President Richard Nixon did arrange a meeting at his office in the U.S. Capitol building. That Nixon-Castro meeting sparked curiosity and controversy among the American public. Some saw Nixon's meeting with Castro as an opportunity for diplomacy and a chance to bridge the growing divide between the two countries. Others viewed it as a threat to American values and security. Nixon hoped to push Castro, quote, in the right direction. In other words, he hoped to move Castro away from radical left-wing policies. But after the meeting, Nixon concluded that Castro was, quote, incredibly naive about communism, and he doubted that Castro could be swayed. Castro's visit to the U.S. lasted 11 days. Wherever he went, he wore his trademark green army fatigues and black combat boots. In addition to meeting with Nixon, Castro placed a wreath on George Washington's grave at Mount Vernon in Virginia, toured the Bronx Zoo in New York City, and even ate a hot dog at Yankee Stadium. After Castro's visit, relations between the U.S. and Cuba deteriorated rapidly, leading to some of the principal events of the Cold War, like the failed Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961, and the near outbreak of nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1865, U.S. President Abraham Lincoln dies after he was shot the night before by John Wilkes Booth. In 1947, Jackie Robinson plays his first game for the Brooklyn Dodgers, breaking baseball's color barrier. In 1964, Ringo Starr tells the other Beatles that it is going to be a hard day's night, inspiring a hit song. In 1998, infamous former Cambodian dictator Pol Pot dies in prison in Cambodia at age 72. In 2009, MLB begins the tradition of having all uniformed personnel wear number 42 on Jackie Robinson Day. In 2013, bombs go off near the finish line of the Boston Marathon, killing 3 spectators and wounding 260. In 2019, fire engulfs the world-famous Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, forcing it to close for 5 years. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. In 1947, a fire aboard a French freighter caused a massive explosion that killed 600 people in which U.S. port? Mobile, Alabama, Pensacola, Florida, New Orleans, Louisiana, or Galveston, Texas? Liked learning about Fidel Castro's visit to the United States? Then you'll love this one about Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev's trip to the US a few years later, a visit where he lashed out when he couldn't go to Disneyland. Tap the screen to keep the story going. on Today in History.